I remember when you children were weak and hungry. I took you to my bosom, fed you my oil. And even when you took and wasted and left me drained, there was always love for you in my soil. Even when my older children, they tried to shame me, setting no rules for the younger ones, bringing such grief and sadness into my household. In the end, they're still my daughters and sons. I will always be there for you. No matter what you do, whatever joy or pain that you are going through, I will always be there for you. I will be always there for you. Everybody always called me a blessed mother. Mama Trini, God must love you, they'd say. Hello, high water, I would just rise and embrace you, protecting my children in every way. Even when you fight and argue about different fathers, remember, the middle passage brought them straight to my door. Mama never worry about no race, I just love them. And so my blood is spoiled when you start to walk. I will always be there for you. No matter what you do, whatever joy or pain that you are going through, I will always be there for you. I will be always there for you.
Okay, folks. 5 minutes past the hour of 11 a.m. And of course, it's always a beautiful day on the inside. A beautiful Wednesday. And this is where we step on the inside with Counselor Mr. Stephen Williams.
Good morning.
Counselor, good morning.
And a pleasant good morning to you. How are you this morning?
I am good.
Good. I'm talking with CJ, right?
Correct, that's right.
The younger version of the
Yes,
Charles.
Yes. The offspring.
I have to talk to him about this offspring.
In a good way or a bad way?
Always in a good way. I have no bad news for anybody.
All right. Well, that's a blessing.
Here you go. I was listening to you, before, and I'm saying, yeah, boy, he really does have a flair and a feel for this, I'm hearing you how you're trying to bring the lady to an end, and despite your best efforts, you were not succeeding.
Oh gosh. Sometimes. Yes,
and I smiled and I said, he's learning, he's doing such a good job.
Yeah. Sometimes time was running out on me.
Yeah, I know, because people are anxious to share, you see. There's so much they have inside of them.
That is true.
There's so much they need to get out there. And sometimes this is probably a very safe forum for them to do that. So
That
I
is,
understand. I really do.
we try to open that platform where everybody is has a fair and valid forum to voice their opinion in a
Mhm.
respectable manner,
That's right.
without any judgment or criticism or any bias affiliations.
Right.
So, and that is basically the theme and the goal behind the whole radio, which is Net Radio.
Mhm.
So.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So I'm going to add to that
Uh-huh.
by sharing today a little bit about resentment in relationships.
Nice.
I'm going to talk about how we build resentment and how to heal some of that resentment.
Uh-huh.
So, but before I do that, I need to clarify a little bit what resentment is, because we may be mistaking it sometimes for anger or frustration or something like that. So let me clarify the two cousins of resentment.
Okay.
Anger. So anger really is, and we all know it, is a fiery response to a perceived wrong or injustice. So when you get angry, let's suppose you're driving on the road and somebody dart in front of you and cut you off, and so on, or you have to run to avoid hitting, and you to do something like that. You get angry. It's a response. It's angry, right? It's almost in the moment, it's in the situation, and you are perceiving that person as wronging you or that person as being unjust or unjust to you. And then you have frustration. I'm going to use the same thing with car, with the same parallel. Um, you have to get to San Fernando for a meeting, and it is about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. You have to get up there for at least 4:30. You think that an hour and a half will do the job, and you realize that you're not getting there. Yeah, traffic is thick, traffic is heavy. Somebody break down on the side of the road. Everybody's stopping to pause to watch. So that's frustration. Not anger so much. Frustration. Frustration arises from obstacles blocking our goals. That's the frustration. But resentment is a layered something. It's deep inside. It is built up over time and sometimes over years. When you find, especially these days, I'm talking with a lot of people and in terms of siblings and brother not talking to sister for 5, 8, 10 years, 15 years. I have nothing to tell this man. I have nothing to tell this woman. That kind of language. And you have this growing resentment against the person. You have resentment because of issues relating to jealousy, achievement. Some aspect, some member of the family does well, and you didn't do just as well, or somebody's children go off to Fatima College or Presentation College, and your child passed for Diego Martin or some other school that is not in the college bracket, and you begin to feel a resentment, a growing resentment towards your brother, towards the children. They've done you nothing, absolutely nothing except achieve. So for a lot of people, it's a growing issue and they don't address it. They never eventually say, but this is what I am feeling inside. No, what they do is they throw the blame elsewhere. They throw the blame across the board. So I'm going to go through with the listeners a little bit about how you can know deep inside of you that you are filled or growing or building resentment over time. And the first question you have to ask yourself is there a particular event or person you find yourself thinking about often in a negative light? Dwell on that a little bit. So just stop for a minute and pause. And whenever this person name comes up you begin to think of this person in a negative light. and you can find all the things wrong with that person. You could go back in history 10 years ago, 5 years ago, he did this to me, 18 years ago, and I remember when. Whenever that is happening to you with an event or a person, you are building and growing resentment inside of you. Do you sometimes feel a sense of injustice or unfairness regarding something that happened in the past? Now, so many people are stuck in the past. And I'm not saying it wasn't unfair, it wasn't unjust. So many people sit here and they tell me stories about their relationships with their parents and what their parents may or may not have done, or the father who abandoned them when they were 8 years old and he left and he went off and he started another family, etc., etc. All these things occurred in your life. So you've had and you felt a sense of injustice or you felt a sense of unfairness. What you have inside of you is a growing resentment towards that person. You say, well, some people say, I don't think about it too much, I forgive him. Yes. And you may actually say that. And sometimes you actually mean that. But you have not dealt with the resentment that has been stuck inside of you because you felt this was unjust to me. This should not have been my remit. I should have benefited, and I'm not benefiting now because you made a poor decision in your life. And that is how some people think. And the resentment grows, despite what comes out on the surface about don't care and I don't bother about that anymore. It is growing inside, almost like a cancer to some extent. Then you have another question. Are there people in your life you are avoiding because thinking about them brings up uncomfortable feeling? I know there are people in my life that I avoid. And it's simply because they do bring up uncomfortable feelings. Now, you're not sure where that is coming from. It may be related to some incident in the past. It may be related to something that you heard, somebody said something about you. You're not even sure if the person actually said it, but somebody came back and they told you, such a person said, you are this and you are that and so on. And you hold that, you hug it up inside, and you now reach a point where you're avoiding that person tremendously. That's resentment. It's growing. It's like a poison. It's growing inside of you. Then you can ask yourself a question. Do you often feel that your negative feelings towards someone or something are justified, even though a lot of time has passed? Now think about it. Yeah? And this happens, as I mentioned earlier on, with parents, and when they have not done such a good job in terms of bringing you up. And although the issue is gone by, the whole question, the feelings is justified and so on, you a lot of time has passed, you hold on. And resentment, I'm coming to that in a while, will explain what it does to you physically and emotionally and so on. And sometimes you don't even know it, but you're just holding on. That is not so good enough. Have your feelings about a past event led to changes in your behavior, relationships with others? In relationships, in partnerships, in marriages, when people are together, and they do not share their disagreements, they don't talk about it openly, what builds inside slowly are little pieces of resentment. So let us suppose you believe that when you are to make major decisions in a partnership, that you are to discuss this together and make the decision together. And then one day, for whatever reason, one partner comes home and says, I bought a Hilux. I bought a vehicle. You bought a vehicle? Yes, because I saw it and I said, let me go down and I bought it one time. No, You or the partner hearing this, you say, well, how you could do a thing like that? We agreed that major decisions, financial and otherwise, will be discussed before any kind of investment is taken in it. And you didn't even have the courtesy to call me or to discuss it with me. No, because of the newness of the vehicle, so you smile, okay, it's nice, yes, it's a nice one. I like the color, I don't like the color, but you're building this kind of thing inside of you because he disappointed you or she disappointed you, and you feel deep inside that this was unjust and unkind to this person. So you say nothing, and it goes along, and another incident occurs, and another thing happens again later on, and then the resentment is growing thick and fast. Nothing is being said, because sometimes you say, if I say anything, it would look as though I don't want him to have the vehicle. I'm jealous that he get the vehicle. So you know what? Let me shut up. Let me not say anything more. And you keep quiet, but you are unhappy inside. Now this resentment works its way out in other matters. And therefore, sometimes when there's a huge quarrel and a huge fight, it has nothing to do with the shoe or the dishes that were not washed. It has more to do with this growing resentment that has been happening over time. Sometimes you have to ask yourself the question, if you want to look inside at your resentment, do I find it difficult to move on from past hurts even when I want to? If you know you can't move on, and so you say, I can't move on, You say, well, I can't move on. And it's true. And I know there are situations in my own life, sometimes I say, I can't move on sometimes. And you have to give it time. You have to give it time. Because let's say somebody hurt you badly. Okay? As one young lady said to me, she could not believe that her godfather and her uncle will do this to her, So, and abuse her. And it to move on from that was so difficult because it's such trust that was betrayed. So you get a certain age, you get age 20, you get age 30, you can't move on. You just can't let it go. The injustice has been so severe in your life. So for many people, it is difficult to move forward. And resentment is a silent, very silent kind of a growing disturbance. As they say, there's a disturbance in the weather out there. It's a growing disturbance inside of you that does not get addressed. And when it does not get addressed, it creates different kinds of issues. Number one, anxiety. It creates anxiety in the body. It creates disillusionment. The body sometimes begin to pick up all kinds of illnesses, and you can't figure out, I'm okay. Why am I having high blood pressure all of a sudden? Why is this, my blood sugar is getting out of control? Why is this happening? It has a lot to do with not necessarily that you didn't eat the right food or you forgot the medication. It's because you have not dealt with the growing resentment inside of you. Now, sometimes you know things about people in a relationship. You heard something by the way, or somebody has been a little bit unfaithful, or whatever the case may be in the relationship. You have you have knowledge of it. You resent that person for doing that to you. But because of the circumstances in your life, such as joint issues with mortgage and children and so on, you decide to make the best of it. But you haven't dealt with the resentment that you feel. So it comes out in different ways. It comes out in ways that begins to trouble you to some extent. So therefore, we have to look at ways now in which we can address that. How do we deal with that resentment that is growing inside of us? Well, one way is when you begin to admit, you have to admit, first of all, that you are feeling this way. It's an emotion inside of you. Okay? you have to challenge the thought pattern that fuel the resentment. Now, let me see if I could make that. It's called CBT and so on, which is cognitive behavioral therapy. I'm not going to talk about that. But really and truly, you have to challenge the thought pattern that brought about that resentment and fuels the resentment over time. And the thought pattern usually is this should never have happened to me. Nobody should do this kind of thing to me. Um, I should never be subjected to this. I am worth more than this. This is more important. All those are thoughts that you hold on to that would continue to make you feel that this person had no right, and rightfully so, and no right to behave the way they did. Sometimes you have to enter into the person's shoes and you have to understand the trauma, the dysfunctionalism of the person that brought about that behavior in the first place. Not that you're going to agree, not that you're going to accept it at all. That's not what I'm suggesting. But that you understand. Excuse me. Understanding is key. Another key way of managing this is through what I call meditation. Now, some people will say, well, I try to meditate and thoughts only come in and so on. Meditation is about gently releasing from the headspace all these thoughts that keep coming at you over and over again. In the foundation, we call it centering prayer, and we have a method that I can teach at another time. But a lot of it means that you have to allow yourself to free yourself from the harboring thoughts and emotions that keep fueling and plaguing you time over time. Another beautiful way which works very well with a lot of people is writing. Now, you have to write down, journal. Journaling is absolutely essential if you want to begin to sort of ease that resentment out of you. You have to begin to allow yourself to write. And you write what occurred, you write what happened in terms of the event that led to the resentment. You put feelings down. You say, I am angry, I am disturbed, never should have done this to me. Once you bring it out, you are beginning the releasing process. And once you begin the releasing process, the ease, I'm not saying going completely, the ease of resentment begins to happen. The other level, which is difficult, is about forgiveness. Now, you are going to forgive yourself, first of all. Could take up a whole program if I'm to talk about that. And then you begin to look at the forgiveness of others. Now, forgiveness is not a one act. I hear some people say, well, I forgive. Forgiveness is an ongoing act. Once you feel resentment, you know that incident, that event is going to keep coming back at you time after time. So what you have to do is keep forgiving time after time. Because yes, today you're in a good mood, things are fine, you're feeling good about yourself, things are working out nicely for you, you are in a wonderful state of forgiveness and all is well. Tomorrow, something occurs with that same incident and it is not as good as it was before. It's affecting you. You see how that one incident 10 years ago is affecting the kind of person you are today, and it's affecting why you lost your job to some extent, or something occurs in that process, and guess what? The whole thing comes back piling at you. That's why forgiveness is an ongoing matter. So one has to continue with the concept of forgiveness over and over again. And that allows you to feel free on the inside. It is about freeing yourself, not necessarily dealing with the matter, not necessarily easing up the person or saying that the person get away and they can't get away with that and so on. All that can happen. You can take all the legal action you want, but in the interim, you need to free your inner self. Otherwise, when you get trapped with resentment, nothing works for you. You're bitter, you're angry, you're about the place, you're sour, you can't even get something done well within yourself. That is what happens. So we've got to work at it. It's a work in progress all the time because nobody came down on this earth without somebody doing them something wrong. We are all going to have times and moments and events and people in our lives that will disturb us, that will create problems for us. And that's why we have to always be acknowledging our feelings of resentment and working on them so they don't destroy us and eventually destroy the very people that we love. So I'll pause there and open up, and people can share their own stories on resentment or maybe their ways of dealing with it.
All right. So the number to call, 281-1315. You can call right now and speak with Mr. Williams on resentment. So the phone lines are now open. Hello, good morning. Hello. So the phone lines are now open. Hello, good morning.
Hello? Hello?
Hi, you hear me?
Hello?
Hi. Hello.
Yes, we're hearing you.
Hello?
Yes, we're hearing you.
Hi, CJ?
Yes.
Oh, hi. Steve, you
Yes.
know, it is so timely that you are coming on today with your show dealing with resentment, because it is something I'm having a big problem with right now. And it's not directed towards like in a relationship with somebody I love. It is directed towards generally young men and adolescent men of all creeds and races who behave in an antisocial way in public and make life unpleasant for me. And I do accept the solutions you've provided about journaling, meditation, forgiveness. They are good. And I think they're effective in an interpersonal relationship with somebody you love that you're having a difficulty with. But I want to ask you, in my situation where right now I am feeling so much anger at people who are I perceive to be riding roughshod over me and my little animal that I care for and love and protect. Can you please give me some strategies to cope? Because I'm starting to feel really angry and like I want to hurt somebody. Thank you.
So the first thing you have to ask yourself, therefore, is why are you feeling this great resentment and this anger? What it is about the situation that has come up for you now. 5 years ago, you may not have felt that. I don't know. 20 years ago, you may not have felt, I don't know. But whatever is happening now for you, you need to kind of do a little bit of inside search. And I'll tell you why. The adolescents who are insensitive, totally insensitive, and as far as they're concerned, they're having fun. They are ridiculing. They're just laughing and having fun, and that's what they do as adolescents. And that's what they do. So they're not seeing the hurt that they are bringing upon you. They're not seeing the disturbance that they're creating inside of you. They're just being miserable, idle, insensitive, and having fun. That's what they are. But this, in fact, is creating a great disturbance in you. Now, another lady with a similar situation may pass and may not feel the same kind of growing resentment as you are. So, while I'm not in excusing the behavior of the young men at all, because they need to do better and know better, there is something else happening with you that's making this bubble up to the point where it's almost uncontrollable. It's disturbing. It's getting into like a cyclone force in you. And you need to look at that, because we're not doing a counseling session on the radio, but I'm just sharing that that's where you go first. And once you can kind of nail that down a little bit and look a little bit more on the inside, you will then be able to figure out why it's so strong in you. I am not suggesting by any means that what the young men are doing is in any way correct or reasonable, or I'm excusing their behavior. They are insensitive to you and insensitive to the little animal. And that's quite clear. But it's disturbing you. You need to look a little bit more on the inside for your disturbance. Because once you find it, you will realize it's related to other things that may have been happening in your life before, other things that may have contributed to that, whatever reason, and it will go way back sometimes to some things. I don't know what that is, and I don't want to even begin to think that or go in that direction. What I'm saying to you is look a little bit more on the inside of what is going on with you as to why this force is so strong. And then you can begin to look at the question of how do I manage this inside of me? Because you don't have the power. You don't have the power to change the young men. And probably that is part of your growing resentment, is your own powerlessness in the situation. You could argue, you could make a little noise, you could get upset with them and so on, but you can't change them. You can't. You don't have that power. You're powerless. And that irritates people. That drives people crazy. They should not behave that way. Their parents should train them differently. And we build up that, yes. And that's also true, and nothing is wrong with that. But at the same time, it's happening in you. So let's look at you a little bit more. And then, you can begin to talk about other people and so on, and how other people can come together and talk about how the neighborhood can be safe and all that kind of thing.
All right.
Thanks very much, Steve. Thanks very much.
You're
I
always
feel a little bit calmer now. Thank you.
all right.
Okay, thank you very much, Miss Linda. Just remember, you can call 281-1315. The phone lines are now open if you have any calls or any questions with regards to resentment within you or your household as well.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to share, Steve?
Yeah, well, while people may be thinking of calling or whatever, I just want to go back to a little bit about Miss Linda. Is it Linda?
Yeah.
Yeah, and just talk a little bit, not about her situation, but the fact that where resentment can come from, and there's several kinds of situations. One is misunderstanding. A lot of people misunderstand what other people are saying, what other people are doing, and because there's misunderstanding, there's growing resentment. There are hurtful comments. People don't realize how much hurtful comments can build anger and resentment in people. People say things willy-nilly to people all the time. They just say what they feel like saying. They have no care for the sensitivity of the person. They say hurtful, damaging things.
Mm-hmm.
And that has a way sometimes of creating resentment. A lot of childhood trauma, I think I mentioned that a lot already this morning. Perceived injustices, when you feel that you've been unjust and unjust to you, and so on. And every time you get up, somebody's going to be unjust to you in this world. There's no guarantee.
You can't hide from that. You can't hide from that at all.
You
At all.
can't. People are
Yeah,
going to be unjust. People are greedy. And greed alone brings about a lot of injustice,
that is true.
So,
And to touch on what you said, what you said a while ago as well, because a lot of people, there's this saying where say sticks and stones may break my bones, but words can't do me anything.
yeah,
And they
that's
don't
good.
know how powerful the tongue is, because sometimes you
Yeah.
tell somebody something, somebody may be going through some it could be some personal matter at the time, or some family matter, or some kind of dispute that may have them in a very depressed state of mind, and then you come and say something that triggers them off in a negative way, and there's a whole chemical reaction.
If it's big, and it's big with men,
Mm.
whenever it gets into the issue of sexuality and jokes and hurtful comments with men, it is a crisis. Because remember, for men, in terms of sexuality, performance is all. So when you go after a male and you hit at his performance through a very hurtful comment,
Uh-huh.
you see a woman this, and you see a woman who wants you to do that. You don't understand how deep that wound begets. That's a cut.
Exactly.
And then you get all kinds of reactions coming with that.
Especially if that person don't have a very low self-esteem.
Exactly, exactly. And we're trained today to have a low self-esteem. We trained, we brought up to feel that we are not enough. Nobody ever thinks he's enough. You're growing up, your parents tell you have to do better in school, you have to do better in this, you have to. We never really think that I'm enough. I'm enough in terms of my height, I'm enough in terms of my looks, I'm enough in terms of the way I walk, I'm enough in terms of my speech. No! We
Yeah.
always feel we're not enough.
You're never satisfied. There's always
Never.
something.
Never. And that allows for people to dive into you, create the disturbance, and then you, of course, the resentment grows over time.
But let me ask you this:
Mhm.
does that reflect on the nature in which we operate as a person? Because growing up, they always tell you that I mean this way, that a man's supposed to be this and a man's supposed to be that, and a man not supposed to express his feelings, and
Yes.
you know all these is things that is embedded in us as little children growing up. Male to be specific. You're always
Yeah.
taught as a man, you're supposed to create and to move a particular way. Does that
Mhm.
basically add to the fact that when a situation arises, that it just breaks them down
Yes.
straight down into this resentment as well?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Remember, we have this programming in us, and we get this programming from television. We get it from our family, first of all. We get it from any significant person in our life. It could be a teacher, it could be a female teacher that you really love, and you're a boy and you're in standard one. You're now seven. You're going, and the teacher begins to tell you, say, boys don't do this. If you want to be a big boy, you should not do this. You
Uh-huh.
understand? And that's how it gets in, and that
Wow.
becomes your belief system.
Huh.
And when that becomes your belief system, it stays with you until you change it.
Wow.
And therefore, sometimes many of us need to sit down, write down all the things we believe in, and then see those that we need to change. Because we do need to change some.
Huh. Wow. We have a caller on the line. Caller, good morning.
Good morning again, CJ. Good morning, Mr. Steve.
Morning, good morning.
Nice. I'm glad that you start to hit the nail on the head, right? Because again, a lot of people uncomfortable with themselves because, again, and I just say we believe that, let me look at the obvious. You have lighter color skin, right?
Mhm.
Or you have blue eyes, right? Um, Sometimes a lot of people, and why I call him is because a lot of people have resentment with themselves, A lot of people have resentment of their race,
Yes, I
right?
didn't even
Whether
think
we
about that's
whether
right. That's so
sometimes you want
true.
to, huh?
That's so true. I didn't even get there. That's very true.
Yeah, a lot of people have resentment and in a ways, I mean, growing up small, even right. And when we talk about, as we in the week we celebrating emancipation and celebration, right? I mean, you're growing up small, go up by black people this way, and black people one way, and black people this, and it's black people again, and it's black, and then now and then most black people, whether they want to admit it or not, right? They have grown a resentment for their own people, for their own race, because they believe that, hey, sometimes you can achieve nothing, or sometimes we believe that the other race is superior to us because, again, and you're hitting it when we talk about the media, when we talk about where the media with and let me go with black and women. Long ago, right now is a little different, right? But long ago, you would see a particular type of woman in front and a particular type of media in beauty products and you would and black and women will feel, some of them will feel that have low self esteem and don't know their worth, feel that they had to go and they had to straighten their hair, and sometimes if they were the natural hair, there would be even African people would be down on them, and so again it's a conversation that, again, I would say we have to look at ourselves. You have to know an important, Mr. Steve. If you, I would like to leave it, people. If you don't know yourself, know what you like and the things that you don't like, and don't be afraid. You might like a particular something and know why I like it. Don't just like it because sometimes it's a resentment, so you are rejecting it. But once is something that I have no problem being black. I welcome being black, a black man, right? I welcome the attribute that God would have given me because I am unique from other people. There's no one else that is me. And with that, I possess a particular quality. I possess a particular skill. So I am confident in who I am. I am not afraid to speak out against stuff. Some people might not speak out against stuff because, you know what? If we speak out against stuff, and even and CJ to bring it back again to why the police will go in a particular place and operate the way that they would operate, because it have a particular resentment with a certain stereotype of people in a particular place.
Wow.
Well said. Well said.
We could bring it back and tie back into all of this. But we got to emancipate ourselves and start with emancipating yourself. Start with emancipating yourself and be comfortable with who you are.
Yes.
I'd like to leave it there.
Well said.
Okay.
Okay, Junior, thank you very much.
All right, that's good. Okay,
that's an excellent contribution. Yeah.
Very good. Just bring it into the whole thing about the self and emancipation and resentment, and that's a whole show by itself. When you could look back at the history and how we have become who we have become, and even within the context of race in the country, how much resentment one race is harboring for the other, despite the niceties of doubles and the niceties of whatever else, bacon shark. The question comes down to the deep inner resentment that generations have been harboring. And we have not talked about that, because if we do, we become racial. But let's talk about it as resentment and how it came there and how we grew up to learn how to be resentful. Anyway, that's another time for another day. End of the road.
The end of the show. Before people get in contact with you,
Well, we are the foundation. We are 36 Cascade Road, Cascade. And we can be reached via our Gmail account. It's foundationhd@gmail.com. And our WhatsApp number is 482-6500.
Nice. All right, so you have the information, and we must say much thanks to you, Mr. Stephen, for your time and for a very contributional topic and informative as well towards the public. So we say thank you very much.
You're welcome. Take care. Have a good one.
Same to you. All right, folks, and that was On the Inside with Stephen Williams for today. You can catch him every Wednesday from 11 a.m. Inside the mid-morning mix and mingle. We take a short pause, and of course, at the top of the hour, we got your news, and the day continues. So you stay on the inside.
Just got better. You're locked into Nett Radio Breakfast Show, fueling your day with the best music and real talk.
Join me, Brother David Muhammad, every Tuesday from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. here on